Okay, friends, I'm starting to record.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. We're just starting to record. We are really gifted to have some outstanding people joining us today. People who care, people who take action, and people who want to make a change and to find out what's going on. So our dear friend Bibi had troubles with a family issue. In the middle of the night, she texted my other dear friend Janice. And
Oh,
Janice said that she could handle the meeting. And then, of course, we've got Nick Bocas, who is working with the center, the Community Center for Immigrants. He is a pro bono immigration attorney. After 38 years of being a public defender, Nick found another calling. And I would say he's very happy with the work, and it's got to be the most challenging legal work imaginable. So,
bravo.
Janice, Janice, I'm going to ask you to start telling us about what's going on in the issue that we all care about, which is how do we treat our neighbors?
Hi,
Is Janice
everybody.
still?
Thank you so much for Pat for
Spirit.
inviting me to join all of you today. And sorry that my colleague and friend Bibi can't be here. She herself is a refugee and has a beautiful story of her connection to the work. So hopefully she can come join another time and share her story with all of you. Before I begin, I just want to tell you about my first ever volunteer job. And I was about 5 years old, and my mom was very active in the League of Women Voters. And I have very clear memory of lots of envelopes and letters and stuffing envelopes and sealing envelopes and putting stamps on envelopes and helping my mom
Oh, that,
organize that work in our family room when I was a
I
little
didn't forgot there was a picture.
so
I'm going to ask other people to mute themselves. So,
Yes.
Eileen, can you figure how to hit the mute button? And Jeannie, can you mute? Otherwise, everybody looks pretty muted. Okay, go ahead, Janice.
Okay. And then just a little bit of background about me. I have been working in refugee resettlement and nonprofit immigration law for over 35 years now. I actually live in Madison. And I worked here at Jewish Social Services for 27 years in the Catholic Multicultural Center. And I also worked at the state as a policy advisor for the past 3.5 years. And it is um, such an honor. And it is with very deep passion, deep-seated passion, that I come to my work at the Community Center for Immigrants here in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the work that we do at CCI. So Caitlin, our executive director, she she founded CCI during the pandemic about 5 years ago. She herself is married to a Tibetan refugee. And when her husband was going through the immigration process, while they were going through it together, she learned that there's like a legal expertise that's needed when working with the refugee population that some private attorneys don't have. And so she has a background in she has an MBA and also she is has a certification in providing trauma-informed services, and she has this lived experience. So she founded a community center for immigrants where they have free English classes and citizenship classes, and also an immigration legal program that Caitlin is at the helm of, and she is what's called a Department of Justice accredited representative. And this is the work that I've also done for 18 years. And so immigration law is one of the, maybe the only, I think there may be one other type of law where you can practice without a law degree. But of course, there's a lot of requirements around that. And so so for those of us who are Department of Justice accredited representatives, we can, our work is connected to our nonprofit organization. So the Community Center for Immigrants is what's called recognized by the Department of Justice to do this legal work. And then both Caitlin and BB are certified as accredited representative to provide immigration legal services. Fees need to be low, and no one is denied services due to inability to pay at CCI. And most of the cases that are represented, so over 90% of the cases are refugees and their green card cases and citizenship cases. And I'm just looking over here at Nick, who's shaking his head. We have, and I am here actually next to our other pro bono attorney, Dan. So Nick and Dan, in their retirement, are generously volunteering their time to help us move forward with our mission at CCI and representing cases. And we're so very thankful for that.
Come on, Lily.
So I think, Pat, feel free to guide me, but you asked me to talk a little bit about kind of like what we're seeing now, what's going on. Obviously, I mean, I want to say, like I said, I've been working in the space for over 35 years, and we're really in unprecedented times, and our all immigrants and refugees are being targeted right now. What we're seeing, like specifically at CCI, is the Department of Homeland Security, they put a pause on processing applications, and so there's a pause on adjudicating most applications, not all, but most, including green card and citizenship applications. And these are for all of the countries, the travel ban countries, which is like over 90% of the clients that we serve at CCI. So what we have seen over the past month is we had nine green card holders who had passed their citizenship test. And one of them, Nick can speak to this. Nick was representing and was in the interview with the client, and he did such a great job that the officer even complimented on how well he did on his test. And we were actually all together at a party, in the citizenship class to celebrate this achievement. And it was right after that we learned that he, along with 8 other refugees that we serve at CCI, green card holders who had already been scheduled for their oath ceremonies, that their oath ceremonies were canceled. All of our clients, except for I think one who's from Mexico, so Mexico isn't a travel ban country, who were scheduled for naturalization interviews, they've all been canceled. And we have Caitlin has these numbers off the top of her head better than I do. I want to say we have about 500 pending cases and green card cases of refugees, and they're all on hold. And we're looking at what's going on in Minnesota, and what we're seeing there is refugees in particular who haven't yet gotten their green cards, or another way to say that is to adjust their status to that of a lawful permanent resident, that they were called for like a re-interview and were detained. In the news, you'll see over 100, and my understanding is that it's well over 100, including children, and they were taken to Texas, to make it harder, if not impossible, to get legal representation. So, we don't know exactly what's in front of us, but we see what's going on. And I thank all of you for engaging in this conversation. Thanks, Nick. Nick, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and say that?
Sure. So, I was going to ask you this question, Janice.
Your scene will put this all over the place.
Your what?
I'm going to ask friends to mute. We love you. We're glad you're here. It's going to be complicated to navigate without you being on mute. Thanks. Go ahead, Nick.
Are we at CCI accepting clients to do the application and submitting the application? Or is it just the adjudications that are being held up? Or the applications still being done by us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks for the question. So the applications are actually still being processed by USCIS, or United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. And if I talk in acronyms and I say something you don't understand, please stop me, because it's, it's like we have like a language, and I try to be really careful about it. But if I say something and you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. So they're still processing the applications. They're just not issuing decisions. And so we do continue to file applications, and actually, Nick, I was going to call you later because we have some folks that on our waiting list that we need to get in for appointments. And there was last week an article in the Sentinel Journal about where Caitlin was interviewed. So I'm also going to put that link in the chat, so you all can learn a little bit more about our work at CCI. And Caitlin's advocacy. Mm-hmm.
Janice, have we seen a change in the number or percentage of people who are coming in? Are people afraid to come in and submit applications, or are there more people now trying to get their green card and beyond that, citizenship?
So great question. As Nick always has like outstanding questions. So this is, something that Pat and I were talking this morning about hope and about the importance of community and solidarity. And last weekend, we held, Caitlin organized an educational center at the Burmese Rohingya Community Center in Milwaukee, where we also hold our English and citizenship classes. And it was an opportunity for the community to come together. And Caitlin gave a short talk, like explaining, about this pause and giving updates. And then everybody that attended, and there were over 100 people there, had the opportunity to have like mini consultations with Caitlin or with BB, so that they can like ask questions or check on the status of their case. I need to go back and look at the report, but we had, I think, a good 30-ish consultations that were held then. And we have we stopped. We put a short pause on taking new cases over the holidays, and then also we're just working on updating some of our system. And so we have a waiting list, and it's a pretty long waiting list, and we're just now starting to go through and schedule appointments for everybody on the list. And from what I could see is, I would say that it's similar, a number of clients, number of calls, number of consultations. We may be getting more calls, people asking about their cases, because, imagine it's such a stressful process, even in the best of times. And so, under these really frightening times, and then to have this pause and so much miscommunication, misunderstanding, things that might be out there on social media, which is why we had that educational session and the opportunity for folks who already have like cases that are pending to come and check on them. Because we, really want to be there for the community and support community and provide as much accurate information as we can. So does that answer your question, Nick?
Yeah, yes, thanks, Janice. Also, I wonder, I've read in the media that the USCIS is going to start re-interviewing people. Have we had any of that at CCI yet? Have we experienced anything?
We haven't had it yet. We haven't had it yet, but we're certainly anticipating that. Yeah. Yep.
I want to add something. So another dear worker, dear lover of democracy, just added that there is a Rohingya American Society, and this event is going to be on February 1 from 1 to 3, and she gives the address. And this is also for Community Defense Network. So I'm going to ask you, Sally, to add that to the chat, please.
Janice, my next question is, how could people who are willing to volunteer be of assistance to us? Now, the League of Women Voters, this venue is open to the League of Women Voters and other people.
Excellent.
And I know they're very engaged in civic affairs, and this is definitely a pressing civic issue. So other than giving money, well, I think that's a big one, or supporting CCI, supporting immigration nonprofits in trying to assist people who are in dire straits now. They're very afraid. How could people who are listening and watching this interview be of assistance?
Yeah. Another thing that you can do is join our mailing list. And Caitlin does share policy updates, and we share volunteer opportunities and such. So I think what I'll do is just put my email in the chat. And so if there's interest, you can just reach out to me and I'll put you on the mailing list. And then if you're interested in volunteer opportunities, again, you can reach out to me. Then I can kind of walk you through it and talk through a little bit more about volunteer opportunities. We are looking for some volunteer paralegal help. If anybody has that, like, administrative help, we need help scanning, uploading, document, which sounds like, wait a minute, like, how is that civic engagement? But like, it really, like, Nick can attest, like, we have 500-600 clients and lots of paperwork and lots of mail coming in and lots of case management system and we need some administrative support. So that's one volunteer opportunity. Another, if maybe some of you may be interested in learning about becoming health navigators, and you may be wondering, well, if we're talking about immigration legal work, what is a health navigator? And that's that we work with many refugees who may be eligible to apply to become U.S. citizens, but they're unable to take like the civics and English test due to a disability. And there's some advocacy work that needs to be done around that, to like work with physicians and such to help the folks that we're serving. Sometimes it's kind of helping to access healthcare and getting the diagnostic tests so that that eventually leads to the physician being able to fill out the form. And this is something that we do quite a bit of at CCI. There's two parts to this, because it's supporting the path to becoming a US citizen, and it's also supporting getting healthcare and getting support and treatment for healthcare. And it's kind of like a lot of like one-on-one work, accompanying clients to appointments and doing some advocacy work. So we're putting a program in place, and that will be up and running in the not too distant future. So if that's like something that anybody's interested in exploring, I'd be happy to have that conversation and would be interested in feedback about that too.
And Janice, do you want to talk about ways that we could have a visitor with us at a house party?
Oh yeah,
And
go ahead.
maybe-
Why don't you talk about that, Pat?
Well, I don't have many of the skills needed to help our neighbors, but I'm not shy. And I'm always happy to gather with people. And one of the ways that we could build our community and strengthen these connections would be to have a house party with 10 to 20 people, whatever you're comfortable with, or a happy hour without alcohol. And we'll get ourselves happy by learning what we can do to be nurturing to our neighbors. And then that donation would go to the Center for Community, the Community Center for Immigrants. So I know Nick and I are going to host one. If you want to be invited to our party, just let me know. And we have about 5 or 6 volunteers already. And it's great to get them from a variety of neighborhoods. And then you just invite maybe 10 people who are wondering, what can I do? This is a moment. This is a time that we're all saying, I've got to do something. What am I inspired to do for action? And we don't all have money, but we are asking you to support Minnesota. And if somebody is handy and can put it in the chat, I'm not handy at the moment. But there are ways that we're giving donations to people in Minnesota, Minneapolis, who are facing this crisis. But again, I'm really happy to work with anyone who is open to having 10 people come over. And we have volunteers, I got one right here, who would join us at the celebration or gathering. And then I want to say what my church and Micah did together. So I'm a member of the First Unitarian Society of Milwaukee, and I'm also the secretary for Micah. And we worked together for how do you resist this situation that we're in? What do we do when ICE attacks people in Milwaukee? And we did role plays on how we would hold on to each other. And then we did role plays where some of us had a sit-in and 4 people played that they were ICE. And they were pushing on us and shoving on us and trying to get us to back down. And then the final one was they pretended that they were handcuffing us. Sadly, the guy who put that restraint on me, it took a half hour for him with his pocket knife to get it off my wrist. But it does help us to go through this kind of training and to promise that we are nonviolent. We make a pledge that we are resisting and we are nonviolent. And then I'll finally brag a little. My first marches were in 1966. 17 years old, meeting Martin Luther King and marching through Cicero, where there were people in trees throwing stuff at us, calling us monkeys and lovers. And that was my first nonviolence training, and that has impacted my commitment to keep doing this work. So what we're seeing now in Minneapolis is a red line. People are saying, no, we are not going to tolerate this. And finally, for all of us who love children, to imagine that ICE agents rolled pepper spray under a car that exploded into their car with a baby who stopped breathing, a 6-month-old child stopped breathing. This we cannot tolerate. We have to resist. So the slogan at Micah is we resist, we persist, we insist. So join that movement and let's do a house party.
May I add a comment? This is George. I remember a lecture, a talk by Dr. King, And he said his most disturbing encounter with racists was not in Bull Connor or down south. It was in Cicero, Illinois.
Yeah, too bad.
Yep.
Yep. Wow, it's amazing. Yeah.
Back to you, Janice.
So Janice, I have a question. This pause, we don't know how long it's going to exist. There is a limit, however, as to how long they can pause green card decisions and naturalization decisions before a mandamus action can be brought against them that would compel them to have an adjudication on these issues. Have we at CCI explored that, or is that something that is in the offing? Because we don't know how long they're going to pause these.
Nick is asking a question that he's taking the lead on the answer to as well. So, we again are so thankful to have Nick on board because part of I had mentioned to you before how Caitlin and BB are certified as accredited representatives to practice immigration law, and so they can they're certified to only practice immigration law and only in front of the Department of Homeland Security. So when we start talking about like mandamus, we need attorneys who can help with this. And so Nick has really been instrumental in taking the lead and has been researching mandamus and sharing that information with us. And so we are in that process of information gathering, understanding, researching, and also I mentioned that we had the workshop last weekend and meeting with clients, and part of afterwards we huddled and what we're and we have an immigration software system that we work with, and BB and I we ran a report on our pending application so that we can pull from the report the applications that are like outside of the processing time, so that Caitlin can, start advocating like for these cases and taking like all of the necessary steps that we would have to take before then moving forward with filing a mandamus. And so we're just like at the beginning stages of that. And I want to say that I don't know how we could do this if it weren't for Nick and also Dan, who's who is by my side here too. We are very thankful for our attorneys that are volunteering, and I guess that's something else too. If there are other attorneys that are interested in volunteering with us, we're going to need your help. Yeah.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you.
Yes, I am working on that. I did not practice in federal court during my career. I was in state court, but I am learning every day on the internet. I did become admitted into the Eastern District, Federal District Court, just a few days ago. And I'm reading about mandamus. I've seen other petitions for mandamus and other forms of relief. So I'm working on that. And when we get to the point, if we do, we're outside the 120 days or whatever that they are given, that if they've not taken any action yet and there's been a continuous pause, then I'm prepared. I will be prepared to take matters to court in federal court to request the court to order USCIS to adjudicate these matters.
Thank you so much, Nick.
What does that word mean?
That means adjudicate means
No, mandamus.
that's where the court orders an agency like USCIS, United States Customs and
Citizenship and
Immigration
Immigration
Service
Mhm.
to act on these applications,
Mhm.
to act on them, and to give a decision, to grant the green card or deny it, to grant naturalization or to deny it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah. Something else that I want to mention about how to help. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And so helping by sharing good information, and also by directing folks who are in need of immigration legal services to authorized practitioners, to immigration attorneys and DOJ accredited representatives. And so, if you know somebody of an immigrant who's looking for immigration legal services, I can actually share a few links in the chat. So you want to, for private attorneys, there's the American Immigration Lawyers Association, and then for the nonprofits, there's a few resources. One is there is a roster of Department of Justice recognized agencies and accredited representatives, and then there's the American what is it? Advocate Immigration IAN Immigrant Advocate Network, I believe. But I can if you give me a few minutes, I can pull up those links and put them in the chat for you, because what we're seeing, it's kind of like a really fine line of where folks can unintentionally be, sometimes it's intentional, sometimes unintentional, but practicing law without a license. And so like you want to be really careful, like it happens a lot in immigration law for many reasons. And one of them is like some of these applications might be like, oh, it's like just filling out an application. But like as soon as you start advising somebody on how to answer a question, like you're giving them legal advice. And and there's also in this, just in general in immigration law, there's unauthorized practitioners or notarios out there. And during this time of heightened fear, there's even more scammers out there. And so whatever we can do to help folks get into the hands of competent and authorized immigration legal service providers, that's also a great way to help. So with that in mind, I'm going to give me a few minutes here, and I'm going to put a few links in the chat.
And while we do that, Yuseli, can you unmute and tell us about the work you've been doing? I know Yuseli from MATC, where we work to get out the vote.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name's Yuseli. I am undocumented. I am a DACA recipient, and I am working with the group called Comité Sin Fronteras, also known as Committee Without Borders. We have an ICE reporting hotline number. I'm going to put the phone number in the chat. But if you see ICE or if you have any questions about ICE, you can call our emergency hotline. I try to answer as many calls that come in as possible, but if not, we have about 20 other volunteers who are also hotline operators. We are a collective of young adults. Of 97% of our group is undocumented. We're organizers. We all also have full-time jobs, but we're dedicated towards advancing some sort of immigration reform. We offer a multitude of trainings. The one that we have coming up is at the Rohingya Center, but we just held one at the Milwaukee Islamic Dawah Center this past Saturday. We also held one at the Milwaukee Women's Coalition for the Muslim and Arab Rapid Response Network. We are hosting a protest this Friday as well, starting at Red Arrow Park and moving on to the Milwaukee Turner. So if you're too cold, you can just meet us at the Milwaukee Turner Hall at 5 p.m., where we will have whistle kits available. We'll have a picket line, quick training. I'll share the flyer with you just so you can put it in the chat. But we also offer specified verifier trainings. So if you're ever interested in becoming a verifier, which basically is just learning how to verify ICE presence, after we get a hotline call, we need more people that are not me, that are not undocumented to go and verify ICE presence and to give, if somebody got detained and the families are what's left at the scene, the families might be in shock. So they might need access to immigration information. We can help track their loved ones with their A number or following them on the Milwaukee County Courthouse locator. Like, we'll do our best to find those folks. What we're learning is that there are 1,500 troops coming in from Alaska that are trained to be in cold weather. We are trying to get ahead of that by organizing in highway areas that they'll be driving through to come to Wisconsin. We know that Wisconsin has a history of being a socialist state. We had some amazing mayors, and the Hone Bridge is named after some amazing people, an amazing person. So I don't think they're coming to Milwaukee, all 1,500 of them, but we do think they're coming to Wausau. They're coming to Appleton. They're coming to all the small areas that are also full of migrants. We're planning for them to come to all of the dairy farms. So we're also giving some sort of assistance to the farmers union as well, by giving them know your rights cards, by giving them things that farmers could put in, on their doors. We're trying to sort of get ahead of what might come next. But if you're interested in joining Comité Sin Fronteras, we had to cancel our potluck this month, but the third Friday of every month we have a potluck at the AFSCME building in Milwaukee. We believe that food and sharing and being in community with each other is what's going to save us. So I appreciate you all today for being at this lunch and learn around food and community, because we're all we've got, and we are the only ones that can save us. And that's all I got for you.
Yuseli, you're always an inspiration. And Janice and I were talking earlier about what gives you hope. And what gives us hope is solidarity. It's community. It's doing what we can in this time. We may have only 6 months to strengthen our resistance. Everybody has heard you want to have 3.5% of the population that's motivated to say, no, I will not tolerate this. I cannot accept what is coming from our administration, what is coming from ICE. And certainly what happened with Renee Good, and again, like I said to that family, that they tried to fill their car with tear gas. So please, let's keep staying connected. Let's keep resisting. Let's keep persisting. Surround yourself with the positive people in your life. Janice, I said, yeah, the league helps me feel grounded. The work with Micah, the work with my unions, the work with my church, all these different interfaith organizations where we're saying, I will not tolerate this. And I see a lot of Unitarians on this call. More than 160 people showed up on a cold day last Saturday. And then I was giving kudos to Liz Harris Hodge. I couldn't believe the turnout at our League of Women Voters on icy Monday to celebrate Martin Luther King Day with NAACP. So people are coming forward and saying, no, 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 I'm not going to take this. I will resist. I will surround myself with the people who care, and I'm prepared to take action. And what we want to do is reach out to people. Yes, people are afraid. Find a way to help strengthen them. I know Ruth is on the call. People are afraid. So we do what we can. We protect the people we can. And we strengthen our courage by working together, by working in cross-cultural solidarity. And yesterday on National Public Radio, Fresh Air had a program talking about it has gotten worse than when this first book came out about the tragedy we're in. So I see you, Sally, put in our next verifier training is Saturday on Valentine's Day, Migrant Watch verifying training. So if you're able to check into the chat, please watch what Yuseli is posting. Also, as you know, this meeting is being recorded, and we will put it on our website for the League of Women Voters Milwaukee. And Candace, why should people join the League?
Oh, whoop, whoop, yeah, sorry.
Why should
I
people
was
join the
copying
League?
down these flyers. I was copying the flyers, so I wasn't, well, thanks so much, Pat. I'm not the head of the immigration group, but we have a very vibrant advocacy committee on immigration that is helping to educate our members and the broader community on that. So that's one thing we're doing. And then, of course, I'm working on helping people get registered to vote, because part of the resistance, if I could, is making sure that we vote and vote in large numbers this year, particularly as we come into the fall elections. And so so the League of Women Voters has as our catchphrase, defending democracy and empowering voters. And empowering voters is key to that, is helping people know, how do they get registered? How do they get an absentee ballot? When are their polls open? And we'll be doing all that work in libraries, in the jails, in the high schools, in the DMV, and in other places throughout this, from now through until November. So if anybody wants to help with that voter registration work in any of those different places, just go to the League website and indicate your interest in being a volunteer to work on that. But also you can volunteer to be part of the immigration committee within the League. Okay.
Thank you. And Liddy and Karen Nelson, can I ask you to comment on the work you're doing to reach out to the community?
When I'm out and about, I'm promoting voting registration. Yesterday, I was at the repairs of the breach. I spoke on it and left information for people there. And so I have this packet, I'm carrying it with me. Wherever I go, I'm dropping it off to make sure people are informed. And so we can get everybody out there to, as many people as we can. They gotta register. We gotta do what you're supposed to do. I mean, you live in America, that's one of those things about your rights about living here. Voting, being responsible, being accountable.
Thank you. And Luann, I know you're always getting people to stand up and speak out. Do you want to make a comment about the persisters and the work we do to motivate people to resist, to persist, to insist?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so the persisters have been meeting every week since the first Trump election, because they were just not going to sit back anymore. And so I have found that a great resource and inspiration, and a place to be in community with people that share my values and my views. So it's been very helpful to be a part of that. And then recognizing I needed my own, because they're in Tosa and I'm in Hales Corners. I started my own Birds on a Wire active group last year, after I had run for public office twice and had a large number of people I know. I thought we can move. We can form our own community, because this is going to be serious, and it's much more serious than I would have ever thought. So Birds on a Wire, we meet every week as well, and we figure out things we can do. Like, we put up these signs of
Yep.
solidarity. We had those printed a little brighter than the ones that No Kings had. And so we have been in businesses dropping those off, making sure businesses know their rights. We hold community meetings to try to make sure people understand the legislative process. Even, it's amazing how many people don't know. You preaching to the choir here, the league, who their representatives are up and down, and they're not even sure yet sometimes about partisan, nonpartisan elections. So we're just continuing to educate people on those things. And bringing in candidates, because there's nothing like a one-on-one. I'm happy to tell you, last night I went down to the candidate forum in Kenosha with my Birds on the Wire friends, and 6 of them. had never been to a forum for candidates. So it's that kind of educating I'm doing and trying to inspire people to do more. And, combating the misinformation and lack of civil discourse is our number one issue in our country right now. So I'm aware of that, and I'm always trying to coach and encourage people how to talk to people that don't agree with you. And that's helpful. A lot of people are either just not talking to relatives or neighbors or whatever, when the answer is not that. The answer is to come together and be able to share those conversations. And so I work a lot with that as well. But I'm proud to be a 30+ year member of the League of Women Voters, which I joined. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic, but when my husband was paralyzed, and they taught me everything I know about advocacy and change. And so for 35 years, I've been able to make things accessible along the way. So happy to be part of this fight. Heartbroken with what's going on in Minnesota. We stand up every Saturday on the corner of 76th and Layton with our signs. This week my sign was Free Minnesota. And then I like to post those on my socials, like your friends in Wisconsin are with you. So those are just a few of the many things that we can do in this time of need. But thanks for the updates, you guys. I'm alarmed to know 1,500 troops are coming. Yeah, I'm sorry, my phone doesn't name my name, but yeah, I'm Luann Bird. Right.
Joanne Bird. Thank you. And Karen Nelson, you're ready?
I am. Thank you so much for inviting me into this space, my big sister Pat. I was taking the time as I heard you going in this direction and referencing yesterday to actually drop in the chat the actual call to action that I shared on yesterday as I was wrapping up the event. First of all, it was an honor to be the moderator of our first ever DEI committee sponsored event for under the beautiful vision of my chair, Elizabeth Harris Hodge. You can take yourself and bring yourself on camera if you're camera ready, please. And it was really her idea. She brought it to the committee and we birthed that thing into a real baby. Was delivered on yesterday, and just wanted to share with this group, since we are all like-minded and this is being recorded, that the 5 key points of call to action: get real about the power that you have. We do hold the power. Number 2, get with your friends. That's why I've already told you, Pat, my hubby and I are interested in coming to your party. And people were coming up to me and to Liz afterwards, and to Candace and to all of us, really saying, I've never been to a League of Women Voters event today, but I came to support Karen Nelson or Sincere Dixon, or I came from Menominee Falls and I've never been, but I want to become a member today. So I think we picked up at least 3 new members yesterday just because of that event. So find your tribe. That's what people are saying. I feel like I found my tribe being in this room yesterday. And so get with your group, your people. Number 3, use your authority and your position to open the door for others. I know that should go without saying, and all of us are simply use the sphere of our influence to say suppression of DEI, of any kind of inclusion, just won't happen under my watch. I will not sit in this executive board meeting and allow that to happen, et cetera. And then finally, and this was the 2 questions that I tossed to Jim on yesterday from Voter Milwaukee project, is that we need to pace ourselves for the long haul. Let's not be lost. Let's not have it lost on us that this is only year 1 is behind us. We still have 3 more years to go. Come what may in November might actually stem the tide a bit, but it's still a grand total of a minimum, hopefully, prayerfully, of only 4 years. Thank you. Empower voters, defend democracy.
Karen, do you want to comment, or anyone from the board, about why the League is calling this a constitutional crisis?
I'm so glad you asked. So for those of you who did not come to my big event in Madison over the summer, last August the 6th of 2025 was the 60th year anniversary of the Voting Rights Amendment. And I was so pleased and so thrilled that upon my first call to the national office, we actually got the board president, national board president, Diana Nguyen, to be our keynote speaker in Madison. And I understand as the event planner that that was the largest league event where we literally took over the state capitol for a day in honor of celebrating that. And that was one of the first things that she made mention of in her speech, as well as making no bones about it at the press conference that I organized for her afterwards. And in no uncertain terms, let's make it clear that the league's position is that we are in a constitutional crisis. You listen to the media and they make it sound like we're getting close to the line, we're almost there. No, we passed that line a long time ago. For those who are true constitutional scholars, there is great history in terms of the fact that we are living in unprecedented times when we can show people, tell people, point out specifically line by line how and why this is a constitutional crisis. And so I'm so proud of the league because we were the very first organization to actually put it out there, say it for what it is, that we are in a constitutional crisis. So to learn more, I invite people who are on this call who have not yet picked up the flyer or become acquainted with United Rise. That's what we're about, is making sure that people know we're not near one. We are living in a constitutional crisis right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Liz, do you want to jump in?
Sorry, all the buttons. I'm just so pleased at the numbers on this call today. This is just amazing. And it's also wonderful to be able to both see and hear allies in this fight. And at this time, I want to give a plug for anyone who wants to join the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. You are welcome. And also, she didn't mention this, but Patricia was part of the panel yesterday. And I sent her a note this morning, which I'm going to take the liberty to share with all of you. For some, it won't be news. But what I pointed out to her is, who would have thought that a personal decision that she made decades ago is still impacting people today. She's empowering others and reminding us that we all have a voice.
Thanks,
Vinny.
Liz. I want to welcome people who came in for the 1 o'clock. I know some of you got the message that it started at 1. So for that message, I apologize. We had a lot of technical troubles getting this together today, but it's been great to have you with us. Greg, if you want to say hi, I know you do a lot of grassroots organizing. Why do you think grassroots organizing is so important right now?
Well, thanks. And thank you all for being here. I think the main reason is that, well, two reasons. One, I think there's nothing more effective than voters talking to voters. And that's the sort of work I do, getting people to canvas, to go to doors, to have conversations. And the other thing about it is that I think it's just really healthy for democracy for people to participate in it rather than letting billionaires buy elections. And, that I mean, I feel that if we go out and do these things and we don't get paid for it, we just have much more credibility. And, they're just, politicians are beholden to us for our votes, not our money, which is a huge problem that we have in this country, clearly. And, I just think that one of the reasons that we've been successful in Wisconsin at the Supreme Court level and all the constitutional offices, Attorney General, Governor, that sort of thing, is that we have invested, the Democratic Party has invested in having people do that work, having people go to doors and do that. pretty unglamorous stuff. But so that's a long answer to a short question, but
Greg. Yeah, we're out there in the cold. And so I got
Well-
to know him better over the years because he was doing grassroots TOSA. And there are a lot of different grassroots groups that are coming together and collaborating and pulling together, seeing this is such an important time for solidarity, especially cross-cultural solidarity. Gail, do you want to unmute and tell us about why you're so active in advocacy and why advocacy matters?
Oh no, you're gonna put me on the spot. And I'm really sorry. I'm the one who said that this started at 1 when it started at noon. The title was correct. The innards weren't correct. I'm really sorry for
It's
that.
okay. We texted a lot of people and that's why they're here.
Yeah, no, I couldn't join at noon. That's why I'm so late. So, why am I, I joined the League of Women Voters because I cared a lot about reproductive rights. And when I joined, I found out, oh my gosh, they weren't doing anything in that area. So I did high school registration and I loved it. But I just felt like I needed to get out there and I needed to create change. I needed to transform things. And so I became the VP of advocacy and I'm loving it. Candace is here. She's doing a lot on climate action locally. They're really pushing hard. And I think they have a lot to be proud of because when I read what's going on locally with climate and our city and our county, they are taking this very seriously. And now we do have a reproductive rights team and we're getting some recognition. We just did a Google search for a bill we're working on and the League of Women Voters came up as someone who cared about this bill. So it's really exciting time to be in this area and I think everybody votes based on what's near and dear to their heart and what values they hold. So I think advocacy has a good place. The different issues we address have a good place in helping to get out the vote. That's it.
Thank you, Gail. So I'm just going to open it up. Are there any other announcements that people want to make? Any other comments that are important that we get this recorded and get this on to the League of Women Voters Milwaukee? Ruth.
Yes, this has been so great. I really have to give you kudos for having this and sharing so much good information with people. But when you were talking about fear, remember yesterday I was telling people, and I don't know why people come up to me about this, but when I talk to them, they're like, yes, I'm so afraid. And I said, fear takes away your power. If you linger in that state of fear, it takes away your power. So understand that it's important to be prepared. And so then you find that that fear starts to dissipate because you're gaining your power back. So I said, and my mantra is, don't be fearful, be prepared.
Yeah.
Good advice.
Yes. So Renee, why do you work for this grandbaby? What does the future generation mean to you?
Oh my gosh, everything I do is toward what the future, like you said, will hold for our children. And if we don't get involved, if we don't fight for what is right, they have no future. And Lord knows I got 7 grandkids. And so I really am devoted to doing everything I can do to get the right people elected and to change things in the future. Thank you for asking. But my hands are full.
Yes, and Carol Montgomery.
I just have a question. Earlier in the program, somebody mentioned green card holders, people who had already passed their citizenship test, having their naturalization ceremony canceled. I know that at MATC on February 6th, there's supposed to be 130 people getting naturalized. Is that whole ceremony canceled or are those people not affected?
The There are still some ceremonies. Some have been canceled. People who are on the no travel list, those people are on pause. They're not getting, as far as I know, they're not getting to have a swearing in ceremony. So there are some entire cancellations, but especially people who are on the list of, I think there's 39 countries, not the 75, but there's at least 39 or so countries that are on the list that if you're from one of those countries and you pass the civics test, even if you pass the English test, they're on pause. So we don't know how long that will happen, but there is a time limit of 120 days. Within that time, they can putz around USCIS, but after that, then we're going to take them to court and require the court to, or ask the court to enter an order forcing the people who've been shut out to get their citizenship. So that's where we are. So I don't know about the case involving, you said MATC?
It's at the ceremonies at MATC, and we're scheduled to be there to register the new citizens afterwards. They told me 130 citizens, new citizens.
What time is it, Carol?
I think it starts at 10 in the morning. Let me look here.
So friends, if you have never attended a naturalization event, may I encourage you to show up at MATC at 10 o'clock on February 6th. That's a Friday. And I will tell you, you are with the happiest people in Wisconsin when you are there.
Okay, so the cancellations then depend on what country they're from.
Yes, yes. Okay. So I would presume that the ceremony will continue unless we hear something differently.
Okay.
There have been some cancellations entirely where entire ceremonies have been canceled, but unless we hear differently, I would say go ahead, it's going to proceed. But there are people who are part of that swearing in who probably are going to be not able to be sworn in because of the pause.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Rick. Nick, I just wanted to say thank you to Carol for sharing that and to ask you if you can put a quick snippet in the chat since this is being recorded so we can have the detailed information. That's my birthday. So guess what I'm going to be doing on my birthday? I'm coming to join you.
Sounds good.
And I actually had my hand up for what Gail and Candace were referring to. I did bring a brand new member and his wife, Dean Muller, and his wife, Rosemary, attended the event for the first time. I've been trying to get them to come to a league event before now, but they finally made it on yesterday, and he is very interested in climate. I was able to introduce him in person to Ruth. I know we've exchanged business cards before, but he was having some difficulty penetrating, getting into boots on the ground level regarding climate change with the league, and it's his heart, and he does want to do some meaningful work with the league. So I don't want it to be superficial of a connection. I really want us to figure out how we can work together with him. But count me in for February 6th. It's my birthday. I typically go and have my general physical, my general exam on that day, but I'll figure out a way to make sure I can do both on my birthday. Thank you.
And I want to welcome Toshiba Adams. So she and I worked together for years with early childhood, child development. We've seen Toshiba, what's happening when they're trying to take away funding for childcare, making it harder for people who already are working hard and needing care. And I don't know, Toshiba, if you were able to hear that the next naturalization event is going to be at 10 o'clock at MATC on Friday, February 6th. So let's tell our friends there to show up and watch the happiest people in Wisconsin hopefully become citizens and not get knocked out of the ceremony. Toshiba, do you want to comment at all about what happened at MATC with trying to close down the Multicultural Center and how we are fighting back and saying everybody is welcome.
Can you hear me? I'm on my cell phone. I'm sorry.
Perfect. You're perfect.
Okay. Hello to Nick and Patricia and to everyone included in this forum today. Yeah, so the situation with the Multicultural Center at MATC is very disturbing, to say the least. That 3 or 4 of my colleagues, long-term colleagues at that institution, lost their jobs under the auspice of like federal regulations. And so that's what it's being blamed on. But those of us who work there and who have been there for a very long time and who actually love the college and love the students that we serve, we're looking at it from through a different lens, because really, if they wanted to do the right thing, they could have found positions for these individuals. So just the fact that these individuals lost their jobs without even knowing they lost their jobs. Somebody was on vacation and came back to nothing, and they had been at that institution for 30 years. So I know the union has been working collectively and very hard to reinstate those positions. But quite frankly, Patricia, I have not seen any real movement in as far as having those positions secured at the college. I think it's really sad that students, multicultural students and communities are not gaining access to the resources that we know are very pertinent for their academic success and their identity building and things of that nature. So I hope at some point we are able to move forward in a more kind and loving way at the college to support all students regardless of their social identities. So I don't really know a lot about what's happening. I know that there's still a fight underway, but I don't know where we are, to be perfectly
And do you want
honest.
to comment on the importance of building better brains for babies and early childhood and why this is another issue that they are attacking? They're attacking them in the Democratic states and trying to say it's fraud and a whole lot of BS about why they should not continue to support families who need childcare or children who need to be in a good, safe location.
Yeah, I just think that's completely nonsensical. I think we know better, right? I would hate to think that our very intelligent politicians and people working in Madison are not familiar with the fact that young children need safe, secure, loving environments that are culturally responsive, linguistically responsive, to themselves, their families, their culture, and their communities. Like we all know this. So I think it's just really detrimental to families, particularly to families who don't have access to the type of resources that would allow them to pay for high quality care, not only in Wisconsin, but across the globe. In the international work that I've been doing, I also see this transpiring and perpetuating in those spaces. And for us to not care about our littlest people, like the people who need us the most, who need us to wrap our arms around them and love them and provide them with all of these social, emotional supports, I think it's beyond inequitable. It's just nonsensical. It makes no sense to me. So I don't know what the larger political agenda is, but I just think that we need to take politics out of it and really do what we know is necessary to support all children and all families so that they can all be able to gain access to high quality learning environments that we know are are important for their long lasting growth and development beyond early educational institutions.
Thank you, Toshiba.
You're
Always
welcome.
fun to work with you. I
Yeah.
love you too.
I hate to just jump into space. I mean, I just finished a meeting, but I knew I wanted to, when you said that Nick was presenting, I was like, oh, I want to try to make sure that I'm in this space so that I can say hi and learn from the two of you and your peers.
Thank you for what you do, Toshiba.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Oh, I see Pastor Lanier is on the line as well. Hi, Pastor
Karen
Lanier.
just added his name.
So
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to back up everything that Toshiba had to say. I was there at the protest that was organized by Pastor Lanier
Oh,
at
yes.
ATC, and I just wanted to be sure that his name got brought into the light of this conversation, to be sure that people know, when you say you don't know what's going on, to do know that he is working feverishly behind the scenes, obviously with no avail, to your point, that nothing's actually changed yet, but he is working and fighting hard. I love the name of his organization. I tell him all the time, he is the glue that is keeping it real in the city of Milwaukee. And so I just wanted to make sure that, since this is being recorded and captured, that his name and email, and I know he can't be everywhere at every meeting at all times, but I did want to share that so we can be sure that we can get him involved with our efforts as well. And then finally, because Ruth, you and I are now late for our state DEI committee meeting that started at 1 o'clock. We need
I
to get involved
know.
for real, for real, for real. But I did not want to leave because this has been such an engaging conversation. Thank you.
That's right. That's right.
Bye.
Well, I wanted
I will say, if there's no, oh, Ruth, did you want to say something before you leave?
Yeah, I was just going to share with Karen that I have a card from Mr. Mueller, and I reached out to someone who also is on a different organization's committee and told him I want to connect the two of them so that he could share with him how wonderful it is to be part of not just the league, but some of our collaborative organizations. It gives you a lot of information when you can do that.
Sure does. So I want to thank all of you. If you just want to unmute and thank Nick for his amazing, meticulous work. He sits at the computer about 5 or 6 hours a day trying to stay current in immigration law.
You go, Nick.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Nick.
Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank
We
you,
all have
Nick. And
to,
thank
we
you
all
again
have
to
to
my,
be, we all
and
have to be
thank,
involved. This is very important, and we're doing that.
and thank you again to my co-chair, Liz Harris Hodge, and to everyone who came out on yesterday in 1-degree weather. I took a picture of it on the dash of my car and filled up the entire conference room at Summit Place on yesterday for MLK birthday celebration. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And the good news is this is recorded and you can find it on the League of Women Voters Milwaukee website. So for people who thought we started at 1 or who were not available until 1, you are able to see the whole thing. And then I have my forever friend, Georgia. Georgia, did you want to say hi?
Hi, Nico, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Georgia, for everything you do too, because you're very involved with immigrants' rights as well. Thank you so much.
In Watertown, Wisconsin.
That's right. We have a big hearing
Okay,
coming
thank
up.
you, friends.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.